Welcome to Deals and Disputes with the West Webb Law Group.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Deals and Disputes with the West Webb Law Group. I'm Matt Skye. Today, we're joined by Donald Delgado, commercial litigation partner at West Webb, Albertson and Gentry. With extensive experience in complex commercial litigation and trials across Texas, Donald brings a wealth of knowledge in construction law, government, and regulatory law. Donald, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So we're going to talk a bit about construction and homes. Let's jump right into it. Regarding owners and contractors, our homes are our biggest investment we make. What are the key items to consider when engaging a contractor?
That's right. So as a homeowner, there's a lot of different things that you can do on the front end. Whether you're building a home, your dream home, whether you're undertaking a big remodeling project. I mean, it's a big money. It's a lot of money that you're investing in this. And so do your homework. Just like any other thing that you do your homework. I mean, we go and research, the different gadgets that we buy, see which one has the best reviews. Well, we should do that also for the different contractors that we may need to engage. Again, whether it's building a home from the ground up or a remodel project or a small repair. It's important for you to do your homework, do your research. The internet has a lot of information out there. And the best referral source really is just asking your neighbors, asking your friends, seeing if they've ever used any particular contractor. Some of the key items that you want to look for is, are they if they're in a licensed trade, whether they have their license. So in Texas, a contractor generally does not have to have a license. However, if you are a plumber, an electrician, you do have to be licensed. And so one of the things to look out for is if you hire somebody to do some electrical work and they're just a general contractor, we've got a lot of different companies that are also sort of handyman outfits. And so they wouldn't be able to work on plumbing necessarily, or an electrician or electricity, such as an electrician could do. So, and if they're going to undertake that task and if they're going to do it legally, they'd have to subcontract that work out to another licensed professional. And in which case you could do that directly. There's no need for that middleman. Now, if they're going to undertake the work and they're not licensed, then that could be a problem. And so that's one of the things that you want to look out for. You also want to look for companies that have insurance. You want to be able to ask what type of insurance they have, if they have insurance, because if something goes wrong, whether it's one of the contractor's workers who gets hurt while doing the job, whether there's a defect that causes damages to your home, you want to make sure that there's insurance, that they're insured, so that way you can make a claim on their insurance and not on them necessarily. And so those are things that are important to take into consideration. The other things are just to get various estimates from different contractors, regardless of what it is that you're getting done, work done that you're getting on your house. You want to be able to compare. And sometimes you'll notice in those estates that there's a huge difference. And it's always tempting, I know, to go with the lowest bidder. Sometimes that's the right choice. Sometimes it's not. A lot of times they're the lowest bidder for a reason, right? And you get what you pay for. And so you just got to be diligent and taking a look at the estimates and seeing, are we comparing apples to apples, or are we talking about, are they going to use different quality items? And so those are some of the key things that you want to look for when you're trying to decide who to hire and what type of trades to hire.
You made a great point. We're so good about research when it comes to electronic equipment and when we buy cars and things like that. Why are we not that way with contractors?
I think it's sort of the unknown, right? And so you trust that you're going to hire somebody who's a lot more knowledgeable than you are on the subject. And I think, honestly, sometimes we think that it's over our heads, that we don't understand it. So then, because I don't really know what the issue is, what good is it going to do for me to do any sort of research when I don't understand the underlying issues themselves? But the point is not necessarily for you to be educated as to what is the root cause or what the issue is that you're either trying to get fixed or how to build a home. What you're trying to do is ensuring that you're hiring the right people.
So to that point, hiring the right person, can you break down for us a little bit the differences between remodeling and repairing and then building?
Sure. So I'll start in backwards order. So buildings, that's when you've made the decision to build your home. You don't want to go out and hire a realtor. You want to go and you got a piece of property, you want to hire a builder. And so there's a lot of different things that you need to look for. A lot of the things I just discussed already. The important thing is, are they reputable? Do they know the area, and are they insured? Those are the key things to keep in mind. And so one of the things that you need to realize too with a home builder is that if you're going to be building your own home, it all starts with, you're going to get an estimate, but then following the estimate, you're going to get a contract. And it's very important for you to have that either reviewed by a lawyer, or you take the time to make sure that you understand every single clause that's in that contract, because the contract is going to govern. And so when we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in building a home, I always suggest to people that the only reason that, a matter comes across my desk, usually a lot of the times, is because they didn't take the time to hire the lawyer at the front end to review the contract to ensure it's protecting their rights. A lot of times from the homeowner's perspective, you're using the contract that this home builder uses all the time for everybody. And I mean, I help write contracts both from the homeowner's perspective and from the home builder's perspective. And when I'm being hired by a home builder, the terms that are in the contract, they're fair, but they're going to be skewed more for the home builder. And so you need to ensure that you've reviewed the contract, that you understand everything that's in there, what your responsibilities are, what their responsibilities are. Is there a way that the contract can be terminated? Is there a way to withhold money if you think that the job isn't being done? What is the payment schedule like? You don't want to ever pay everything up front. And so just understanding some of those key terms in the contract and having a good understanding about that is key, because you want to start off on the right foot. Same thing with the big remodeling project. You're going to want to make sure that the contractor is reputable, is insured. A lot of times there will be a contract involved in there. And in fact, I recommend that homeowners, if it's a big project, that even if the contractor says, no, we don't have a contract, this is an estimate here, this is our contract, it's always better from the homeowner's perspective to have a contract. And so that might mean going out and hiring, a lawyer to put together a contract. Again, if we're talking about several thousands of dollars, a couple of thousand to be able to draft a contract that's going to help you out, it's going to, in the long run, it's going to be better than having to deal with issues after the fact. And then the third portion of your question was about repairs. So same thing, that they're reputable, that they're insured. And you want to also, particularly with repairs, there's been an influx of fly-by-night contractors that go and they're basically storm chasers. Anytime that there's a big storm that hits an area, you'll see, and I'm not trying to, cast this particular trade in a negative light, but a lot of times it's roofing companies that just go from city to city to city offering to repair roofs for after a hailstorm or windstorm of some sort. And they're not from the area. They come, a lot of times they go door to door. And they have a boilerplate contract, which is going to be favorable to them. Sometimes they don't even have a contract. And they're using people that aren't from that city, aren't from that state sometimes. And they offer you a good price and you think, well, yeah, I think my roof might have been damaged. Sometimes they convince you that your roof is damaged when it may not really even be damaged. And so you got to be careful about that. They'll promise you to help with making a claim with your insurance company so that your insurance can help foot the bill for the repairs of the roof or the replacement of the roof. And that may be true that they do offer that, they do try to help, but ultimately you're the one that's left footing the bill for however much it costs to pay for the roofing company. And the insurance may not pay what it is that they're demanding to be paid. And that's when sometimes disputes arise because the insurance company thinks that it should only cost this much to repair. The roofing company says, no, it's actually this much. Well, you ultimately are the one that's responsible for that payment, regardless of whether your insurance company covers the entire payment for that repair or replacement of the roof. And so that's another key area for homeowners to be really aware of, that unfortunately those situations do happen, and not the most reputable of companies, come in after a storm. And so just to be alert in those situations.
I think that's great advice. So let's do a breakdown of the two kind of key categories when it comes to contracting. There's the owners and there's the contractors. I'll ask you some questions first just about owners. So What are the responsibilities for an owner?
Sure. So let's start off with you hired a contractor, you signed the contract. So at that point, what you need to do is you need to ensure that you're paying with whatever payment schedule is in the contract or what you've agreed to with the contractor. And before you make a payment, ensure that the work that the contractor is saying has been done up to that point has been done. Because a lot of the times what happens, unfortunately, is we're coming towards the end of the project. The home builder asks the homeowner to pay the remainder, the final payment, even though the work has not been completed yet. The homeowner pays that final payment, and you may not hear from them ever again, or if you do, it's sporadically. They're not as attentive. They're not as timely. And because they have really no incentive at that point, because they've been paid everything that they're due. And so from a homeowner perspective, you have to be on top of it. You have to be your own advocate a lot of times with respect to if it doesn't look like they are entitled to half of the cost for what the work that they've done so far, then it's your opportunity to speak up at that point, because you don't want to pay everything and then have a unfinished project that's done, or you have work that's less than subpar and you're out all of this money. And so that's one of the things that as a homeowner, you can be diligent about, and documenting as much as possible with photographs. And if there's concerns, making sure that those are documented in some sort of writing, whether that's through text message, email. A lot of times that's the most favorable means of communication with the contractor. And that's perfectly fine, because it leaves a paper trail of the situation that you may find yourself in. So being diligent about the work that's being done and being careful about what you're paying.
And how can an owner find a reputable contractor?
So again, this is sort of what we mentioned before. Best people to ask are your friends, your coworkers, people who have dealt with that particular company before. There's also, in a lot of communities, there's home builders associations, there's trades associations that you can look into. And if they're part of that association, then you can at least are assured that they are from the community, they do work in the community. And so that's probably the best way to go about hiring somebody.
And so we touched on this a little bit, but let's say a contractor wants a deposit or to draw money. How does the contractor protect themselves from losing money?
So from the contractor's perspective, you got to ensure that you're forcing the homeowner to pay you the amount that you believe you have earned up to that point. And so depending on how that payment schedule is written, the contractor is their own best advocate. On the flip side, from what I said with the homeowner, as a contractor, you do the work and you've only been paid for half. That puts you in a vulnerable situation if you haven't been paid for everything, because now the homeowner has really no incentive to pay you anything else if the work has already been done. And so it's finding that balance of being, making sure that from the contractor's perspective, that your client, the homeowner, is happy, but at the same time not being taken advantage of and doing work for free. And same thing with the contractor in terms of documenting. So a lot of times there's a contract for a certain scope of work, and then the homeowner says, well, I either change my mind or I want this instead, and it adds to the cost of the project. And so from a contractor's perspective, you need to make sure you're documenting that through a change order and ensuring that the homeowner signs off on that change order, so that later on they can't say, well, I didn't know it was going to cost me this much more money to do that change, or I wouldn't have done it. And you see that a lot of times because from the contractor's perspective, they're out there, they want to get the job done, get it done efficiently, quickly. And so a lot of times a contractor feels like I don't have time to put down in writing, put down a change order, have them sign off on it. It's going to put us behind. But that's where the troubles come in when a contractor has trouble getting paid. It's usually because of change order situations. So
yeah, you answered a lot of my questions on the contractor's side as well, which is great. What should either side do when they run into a dispute, when things didn't go well? What should either side take?
Yeah, so from the homeowner's perspective, you've got certain things that you need to do as a homeowner in order to make a claim on a contractor. So as an example, you hired a contractor to build your home. It got built, you paid them, but all of a sudden there's leaks coming down from the roof. There's plumbing issues. And so you want to make a claim, against the builder because these are defects, and you paid a lot of money for your home. And though not everything's perfect, I mean, you want it to be in working order. And so there's the Residential Construction Liability Act, and the Residential Construction Liability Act is shortened to RCLA. And so RCLA's purpose is to help homeowners and home builders settle disputes that they may have for any sort of defect that arises from the work that the contractor did. The reality is that it's more skewed to the home builder. And again, I say this representing homeowners and home builders, but home builders have a good lobby. And so with the Residential Construction Liability Act, if a homeowner wants to bring a claim or a lawsuit against the home builder, you can't just run to the courthouse and file a lawsuit like you could for any other, in most any other situation. Before you do that, you have to send a detailed letter, which is called a RCLA notice, to the contractor, explaining in detail what defects it is that you're alleging there are. And you have to do that within a certain amount of time, within the statute of limitations, within the statute of repose. And so it gets a little bit complicated. But the main thing for a homeowner to know is that they have to send this RCLA notice letter to the contractor. Then the contractor has a certain amount of time to request to go inspect the property for themselves to see what the issues are that the homeowner is complaining about. And then after that, the contractor, home builder, gets the opportunity to make what's called an offer of repair or an offer of settlement. And so what that is you can offer to, from the contractor's point of view, okay, we agree that these are legitimate issues that you've outlined. We're going to fix them. And so then the contractor has a certain amount of time to fix it within the RCLA statute. Or they can just say, you know what, instead of repairing it ourselves, we're just going to give you some money for you to go and get it repaired yourself. A lot of times a homeowner at this point of the process is not happy with where they are, because they a lot of times don't want the home builder back on property because they don't trust them. But the statute allows the contractor to be able to repair, and the homeowner has to allow them to do that if that's what the contractor elects to do. And so that can be a source of frustration for homeowners. And then from a contractor's point of view, you got to make sure that your offer of repair, your offer of settlement is one that's reasonable, because without getting too into the weeds and into details, if it does go into a litigation, into a lawsuit, the contractor can point back to that initial offer of repair and offer of settlement. And if basically a judge or a jury finds that was a reasonable offer and repair at that time, then that's really all the homeowner is able to obtain. And so all the attorney's fees that were spent in trying to get to that solution, you don't get, you've spent, because you're not able to get attorney's fees, because you should have, basically the statute is trying to entice the homeowner to have accepted that offer of repair or that offer of settlement on the front end before years of litigation have ensued. And so all in all, there's a lot of hurdles that a homeowner has to go through in order to make a claim for defects on a home builder. But at the same time, it also forces the home builder to take a claim from a homeowner seriously and investigate and make reasonable offers to repair if there is an issue.
I think that's a great point to wrap up on. Everyone, thanks so much for listening to Deals and Disputes with the West Webb Law Group. For more information, you can connect with Donald Delgado and the incredible team at westweblaw.com. Donald, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.